Uh, Thank you very much for having me. Name is Steve Letwin. I'm chairman of Cassiar Gold. I was previously president and CEO of IAMGOLD from 2010 to 2020. As you know, IAMGOLD has had an extremely successful run. When I joined the company, we were sitting around a $2 to $3 share price. It's sitting today at $33. So the company's done phenomenal based off the Côté Gold discovery that was done near Gogama, Ontario. I'm also involved in running a private company today after I left IAMGOLD. I've been managing a large private company in Western Canada. It's called ManCal, which stands for Mannix Calgary. We're involved in the oil and gas business. We're involved in the resource business. We're involved in private equity and venture capital, and we have a very successful company. I sit on the board of Hess Midstream out of New York. I'm on the audit committee, and I also chair the conflicts committee. I'm on the board of Frontier Lithium, which many of you are aware of with the Walker family. I've been on that board now 6 years, and they're seeing some extraordinary success of late. I also have a shell company that I've been putting together for the last few years, and we're looking at some additional assets to roll in, but it's also had some great success. So I'm pleased to be here. It's been a great run since leaving IAMGOLD, and because I kept a lot of my IAMGOLD shares, I'm a very happy camper today. I was fortunate to take, as you know, I took all my bonuses in shares. I never cashed a share until after I left the company, and then even after that I kept my shares at Cassiar. I'm the largest independent shareholder of Cassiar Gold. I have just over 7 million shares. I've never sold a share, nor do I intend to do so. I think the upside at Cassiar is huge, and similar to Côté, I think we're going to see that mine move ahead at a fairly rapid rate into the future.
Steve, good to see you again.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
It has.
I think it was we worked at 2020 before.
Yes,
so
yeah, and it was great to see you.
But you've been a busy boy.
Yes.
So we'll let you off. Look, we are here to talk today about Cassiar Gold. You know, Marco's a regular, and he's sort of been, extolling the virtues of the project. But you're in town. I'm taking advantage of the brief time that I'm allowed by your people for you to be here. Talk to me about why you, given the history of where you've been, what you've done, would want to be involved with a small company like this. What's so special about it?
Well, I would again refer to the fact that when you look at Cassiar, it has many of the same characteristics as Côté. And, I, along with Paul Olmsted, bought Trelawney Resources in 2012. It wasn't well received in the market at the time. Gold prices dropped to $800. But I had the full support of the board, and Côté, like Cassiar, had a lot of infrastructure. A lot of the roads were developed by lumber companies, previous mining companies. And so some of the gold had already been mined. And when I look at Cassiar, it's almost identical. You come off the highway, you're right into the deposit. Mill is sitting there, core shack sitting there, camp is sitting there, 170 kilometers of road is sitting there, all developed, all paid for prior to us acquiring it. So I would say at least $100 million worth of infrastructure was invested. We picked that up for about $1 million of Cassiar shares. And we've been able to focus on drilling as opposed to infrastructure. We've built the resource up to about 2.5 million ounces, 1.9 million of inferred at about 0.95 grams, another 500,000 of indicated at about 1.4 grams. It's a very shallow deposit. It's going to be very easy to mine. And on Cassiar South, we've got very, very high-grade narrow veins that had been previously mined. About 500,000 ounces had been produced, and we see huge potential there. So to answer your question, I saw an opportunity to be able to bring cash flow to our investors at an accelerated rate. versus some of the more remote deposits that are out there today and companies that are trying to raise money to develop it.
Let's talk about that. Let's break that down because I get the infrastructure. Can I get your thoughts on the asset, and we'll maybe dig into that a little bit more. But this story's been around for a long time, right? Prior to your team picking this up, there's also been in the hands of your team for a long time. Is this just a question of timing the market, and now's the right time to do what you just said? You said, I want to get cash in the hands of the investors.
Right.
Right? How are you going to do that?
Well, I'd say that, again, similar to Côté, where I went over to Tokyo and I brought over 450 million US in cash to Côté from Sumitomo Corporation, which accelerated the development of Côté. We are out there looking for partners to do the same. So without, breaking any rules, I would just tell you that there is a lot of interest in our company, and that when they look at the fact that everything is developed, the fact that it's in a friendly jurisdiction, the fact that we have very strong relationships with the First Nations, the fact that the mine itself would be easily developed, all the permits are there, you tick all those boxes, and you say, my path to net present value is a lot shorter than the majority of companies out there. And that's the exact same scenario that I saw at Côté. And in today's world, it does take 7 to 8 years to get to that point. Yeah. We're at that point. $5,300 gold doesn't hurt. Everything looks a lot more attractive. And if you can bring that mill into operation within the next year, because it was operating, and you can move ounces out of Cassiar South at grades of up to 20 grams per ton, it doesn't take very long, A, to pay off the mill, B, to generate a lot of cash flow for our investors.
Right, okay, someone with a big balance sheet always helps, and if they're quite aggressive and ambitious, they'll get after it. What are the kind of barriers to them? You've talked permitting and licensing issues, presumably in there. It's been a while, 2009 since it last operated. So the mill refurbishment, might take a bit of work, right? So how do you assemble all of these moving parts quickly?
Well, the permit's alive.
It is live.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The permit's alive. So, and the tailings pond is right next to it, all in good shape. So I'm not trying to oversimplify it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, as I'm sitting here, that our opportunity to move to free cash flow is very near term. And what is attractive to me as an investor, and I'm chairman of the company, and haven't sold a share ever, is that near-term cash flow is going to have a lot of appeal, I think, to investors. Right. Again, drive off the highway and you're at the site. Everything's developed, everything's ready, the resource has been moved ahead. I think we're going to see we are seeing a lot of interest. Yeah. For those reasons.
So, but if you things like the mill, it'll need refurbishing.
Yes.
How much data exists? I think I've talked to you in the past about the tailings opportunity. Like different times, different environment, different margins to be had. I get it. But how much data is available? How quickly can the refurbishing the mill and putting something through it? Can that happen? Can it genuinely happen quickly? Or
it's happening now. So we've got a firm that will come in and refurbish the mill. We have a firm that's doing all the metallurgical work. Okay. And that should be done within the next quarter. Okay. We're developing a PEA that'll be ready by August.
On the tailings?
On the mill and on the ability to probably access Cassiar South.
Okay, well there's the interesting bit.
Yes.
So there's a lot of drilling's happened there.
Yes.
Remind us of the sorts of the grades and the numbers that are known.
Well, in the past they've produced somewhere around 400,000 ounces at between 15 and 20 grams a ton grade. And the PEA will be developed for both Cassiar North, which is the bulk tonnage, more the gram a ton.
What's the mill going to be optimized for?
It'll be optimized for Cassiar South, which is the high grade, which is where you want to put your money, right? Yeah. So you hit a vein. and there are lots of veins up there, right? Or you extend a vein and you put ounces through that mill at $5,300 an ounce US. And I'm not allowed to say that I'll get punished if I give you a number for the mill, but it's a rounding error compared to the revenue that it's going to generate, a rounding error. So again, not a big mill, 200 tons a day, not massive, but enough to generate a lot of cash at these prices.
It's not a big mill, but is there a chance to grow? I don't know what land package or footprint it's sitting on. Is it expandable?
Oh God, we have 59,000 hectares of land that's permitted.
But in terms of expanding the current mill?
Absolutely, you can expand the current mill.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, Côté had 57,000 hectares. We have 59,000 hectares. We have 170 kilometers of road. There isn't anywhere on that property that you can't go today because all the roads have been developed. And, you know, the power is accessible. There's a full camp. There's a core shack. Again, I'm not trying to be repetitive, but I've worked in places where you're flying, you're paddling, you're driving, you're in unsecure remote areas to try and develop a deposit. This is in Northeast BC, off the highway, and everything is in place. Where in the world do you find that? You don't find that anymore in West Africa, I can tell you that much. Yeah. Very hard to find in South America. So in terms of new production, this is as close can be.
So let me make sure I understand the plan. So you refurbish the mill, process tailings, process from Cassiar South, the higher grade component to the mill. That's going to generate some cash. That's going to allow you to do, I guess, a lot of what the company hasn't been able to do, cash strapped for the past many years, as all juniors were, in terms of getting after other veins and also working out how you kind of process the kind of bulk tonnage opportunity as well. So it's self-funding growth. That's the nature of
you should come with us.
I should come and see
what
this.
You just said is exactly what we're going to do.
Right.
So generate cash flow, which will allow us to extend the vein system in Cassiar South, which is just on top of the hill. Look at the tailings. And I would just say that Cassiar South is more attractive economically than probably the tailings, although the tailings haven't really been worked yet. Could be a lot of ounces there, I can't say. And then that gives you the cash flow pro forma to look at a bulk tonnage open pit, like a kilometer away. It's incredible. And you asked me that question. I mean, my first prerogative is to look after the family I work for. But I will tell you that family are shareholders in this company. They're shareholders in Cassiar. And the guys in Calgary that are friends of mine, guys that are building the new sportsplex in Calgary, they're shareholders of Cassiar. These people believe. And they look at it and they're driven, and these are very successful businessmen, they're driven by the fact that they can see cash flow coming. And that is the number one driver of this opportunity. Everything else is secondary. But you have to have the whole package together to make it work. Just like at Côté. If you don't have the First Nations on side, you don't move ahead. If you don't have the road system inside, you can't move ahead. If you don't have the power available, you can't move ahead. If you don't have the permits, you can't move ahead. We have all of it. We have all of it.
You did something quite interesting with the First Nations at Côté, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought. Maybe tell people about that, because around the NSR?
The impact benefit agreement we have, about a 0.8% NSR.
Yeah, I thought that was
with Chief Chad Boisseau. And I give Chad Boisseau incredible marks, because there's a guy that, when we first started to meet, and again, I have a lot of lawyer friends, But the biggest, and I'm not being critical of white lawyers, okay? But the biggest impediment to us was sitting in a room and paying legal fees to guys that really didn't want to see an agreement reaching it. Why would you? Why would you? What?
You're talking my language.
Yeah. Why would you want? Why would you want
Yeah.
an agreement when I'm paying your fees? And so this went on, and I just finally said to Chad, "Stop. Let's you and I sit down." And he said, "Steve, you come to the reserve, and you see what we are going through. There's 600 of us on this reserve." And I did. I went to the reserve and I spent time with him and I went fishing with him and I ate with him. You know, we ate moose, we ate fish, we talked, and I got a first-hand experience. And these IBAs don't need to be that complex. Yeah. And that IBA for the Matagami First Nations and Flying Post changed their whole world. And when you look at that NSR today, I don't think there's a lot of drive to want to renegotiate anything. Why would you at $5,300 gold? And you know what? It's changed all their lives. And the businesses that have been popping up as a result of it, the education, the new healthcare, all of that has been as a result of the mine. And if as a country we could do that more often, maybe we could settle some of these deficits that every province are going through right now. There isn't one province in the country of Canada that doesn't have a deficit. Why? Because we're not generating enough revenue. We need more Côtés. We need more Cassiars. BC, I mean, my God. They're friendly and they've been working with us. But let's go, right? Let's start writing checks. And what's beautiful about Cassiar is it's very close. And we can make it happen, just like we did at Côté.
Well, the secret of all of this is timing, right? And
Yeah.
you're timing it. Yeah, I think that's fantastically laid out. I understand what you're trying to do and how you're going to do it. I guess the big conversations that you're having at the moment are with strategics, with the balance sheet, with the same vision as you, the same ambition. Because sometimes these big companies move slightly slower. Your message in all of those conversations presumably is like, the opportunity is now, let's take it.
I would tell you this. I mean, we could raise another $10 million tomorrow. Okay? We have 5 offers to do that. We could do another 7,000 meters of drilling, right?
Doesn't interest you?
Well, it interests me in the sense that it improves the resource and you move from inferred to indicated. However, I'm saying to these guys and whoever's listening to this, you want to do a deal, come do a deal. Just like the guys at Sumitomo. Yeah. You know, I flew to Tokyo 33 times. Yeah. Okay? I brought back a $450 million US check. Nobody on the planet thought that could happen. Nobody. But when they came and saw the Côté opportunity, they said, look, we're in. And I can tell you right now, you're not going to find a happier group of people other than First Nations than Sumitomo. And I'm telling you right now, whoever comes in on Cassiar is going to make a lot of money. A lot. Okay.
Good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, good seeing you.
See you again.